Welcome to the Squad Games Podcast. Squad Games Podcast.
So guess what?
What?
I started watching Alien Earth.
It's pretty good, huh?
Yeah. I've only made it to like the end of episode 1, but I had a real good time watching.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Alien Earth. It made me want to watch sci-fi so much that, and I couldn't see enough of it. I am rather upset with episode 5. For any of those that are watching it, you will also understand my pain. We had some phallic touching in episode 4, and I was very excited. And then everything changed in episode 5, and I am no longer excited. And then I fell asleep. I haven't even finished episode 5. I'm so upset. But it led me to finishing Andor, both seasons of Andor. And then now I have to see how I'm going to watch more sci-fi stuff,
I think you have to wait for because it comes in every week you get a new episode?
Yeah. It's the most frustrating thing about the whole everything, Giacomo? The most frustrating thing. I was paying for Disney Plus from my Google account, and apparently you're paying from your Google account or any other account other than your Disney account. You cannot change like how you order, like anything about Disney. So I had to wait for my whole thing to run out because I was trying to buy ESPN so that I could watch The Ultimate Fighter. Because The Ultimate Fighter, I don't know, this is a pro hobby tip for everyone here. If you guys have to burn through a project, you just put on The Ultimate Fighter, not like just like people fighting, but there's the show, The Ultimate Fighter, right? Mm-hmm. And you watch The Ultimate Fighter, right? It's incredible because you don't have to watch the first 40 minutes of the show. It's just like people talking, they're in a house, they're just like talking shit, and then all of a sudden, the last 5 minutes of the show is them like beating the shit out of each other. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to stop painting. You wash your brush, you just watch the fight and you're like, oh yeah, that was good. The next episode. And then you go, it's like a nice little mental break. You get like a 5-minute break every 40 minutes. And it's like really, and sometimes it's like a 7-minute break, depending on how long the fight is. But, that is what I usually fuel my like long hobbies with. But I ran out of ESPN and I was trying to add it to fucking Disney and I couldn't do it. So I had to paint all of Tomb World with no UFC because I didn't want to pay for Hulu, for Disney, and for ESPN and pay like $60 a month for all three.
Is that how much it is now?
Like for if you order each one separately.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, stop Hulu, stop Disney, stop ESPN, Let's do all one package for $30, so I can, and nope, I finished everything before. It's unfortunate.
We're getting back to that era of, even though we're not having cable, we're still almost paying cable prices with all the subscription fees.
You're not wrong.
We're getting close there, but that's besides the point. You're not here for that. You're here for tech op stuff, crate op stuff.
Tech ops. Yeah. It's going to be fun.
This is cool.
Yeah. My secret tac op was finding what was Envoy. I was the Envoy and Disney was the martyr,
Wow.
Yeah, it had to kill itself so that I could score back
score 2 points. That's a joke for you if you haven't seen the newest episode of the Battle Report. We have that up right now as well. You can check that out. Or if you're coming from there, thank you for coming to here. On the Squad Games podcast.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Sorry for the long intro, but I had to get it out of my system,
You have to, man. I needed to hear about your Disney Plus plates.
Oh, another thing before we start recording the YouTube, a special treat for all of our podcast listeners. Our next podcast is going to deal with LVO and brand new Into the Dark maps or Gallo Dark maps and Gallo Dark Plus maps. And about LVO. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. I think I've developed like 4 new Volcus maps, not Volcus, Gallo Dark maps. plus more. So take a look out for those because hot take, the Games Workshop maps are not very good. Tomb World's actually okay, but Vulcus,
There's a hand. Yeah, the ones you've done so far.
we're going to get into those later in this episode. But
Yes,
it's going to be crazy.
And speaking of LVO, if you are going to LVO, you can get tickets through our links down in the description. We're also having a fundraiser night that is Thursday, so you can sign up for that as well. You get to partake in a bunch of cool little events we have going on for people, and that helps us here get more stuff so that we can bring more things to you guys in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we want to thank Games Workshop for giving us an advanced copy of the new Crit Ops pack so that we can bring this to you and you guys can enjoy it too.
Giacomo, are you ready to get the show on the road?
I sure am. So let's begin this now.
Cool. So first up, this is a Lord of the Rings mat, which
dope.
Automatically makes me cool. But we get this card for our podcast listeners. It is a Death Watch versus the leader of the Canoptic Circle. It's very cool. It's a front and back kind of like pretty card. And this is the Crit Ops 2. Giacomo, I need to have your face right here and my face right here screaming at each other so that we can we can put that for our, what is it called? For the thumbnail. So just both yelling at each other,
Maybe wet too.
Yeah, should be fun. A couple things heavily changed this edition for the approved mission packs. So this new approved ops specifically says that we have to choose a primary, right? Which the other one I think did, but it didn't say you had to.
Right, you could choose. Right, you could accidentally miss it.
Yeah, I think this is the old one. This is the old one right here. So as a strategic gambit in the first turning point, and then this one is like your primary op. I don't know if it's the exact same wording.
Technically, it's a step, and this is just reminding you, which is important. So,
Yeah.
And it says you select it. So
on the first thing here, Giacomo, do you want to take us through the setup battle and setup operatives? There is a few changes, but not a ton of changes.
Not a lot. So if you're used to it, it's not too bad, but I'll run you through this real quick. So each player selects your kill team. You've done that before. We determine the kill zone and you set up the terrain. You make sure that everything is all correct there. You tell them what type of board you're playing on. You determine one shared crit up and set up objective markers. So, you have the mission and you have the objective markers on the kill zone. And then you roll off.
This right here is the biggest change. Their next
right
bullet
here.
point.
So you roll off and the winner decides who has initiative, which then the player with initiative selects your drop zone. Then their opponent has the other drop zone and gets the reroll initiative card. This is the first big change.
Yes.
And a cool thing, since you get to pick the initiative as the winner of the roll off, you can decide who gets to have that initiative.
Yeah. So this is the old one and this is the new one, right? As you can see, the last bullet point is pretty much the only thing that changed.
Mm-hmm. Because it's the card now is big. This is a new thing they're trying.
We will get into the card in a second. So essentially, you would roll off the winner decides who has initiative, right? So if I win the roll off, I could say I do not want initiative. You could have initiative. So you would select your drop zone, and then I would get the reroll initiative card. So you have to choose, do you want this reroll your initiative or do you want to select your side? That's essentially what's happening if you win the roll off. I believe under select operatives, I believe it's the same.
Yeah, so not too much is changing here. Everything kind of goes from there. And this one we're also used to. So you set up your equipments before, then you set up your models alternating, and you always round up when you're deploying. So if you have a total of 5, it'll be 2, 2, 1. Very simple. Yeah. We've done it before. Everyone has a conceal order.
Now, play the battle is where a lot of stuff changes, like a dramatic amount of stuff, because guess what? Scouting option is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look here between the two, right, we have like scouting, do. This one is just play the battle.
Yep,
right?
We no longer have the scouting step, which, to be fair, most of the time you were taking dash or equipment. No one was ever taking the free player. It was rare. I think I saw it maybe once or twice, realistically. So that was kind of just like, what was the reason? Let's kind of recreate it. And I think this new way it seems okay so far, but I would need to play it more to really decide whether I think it's good or not.
Yeah. So essentially, both players get to roll initiative during each turning point, including the first. So you immediately have a chance to use the reroll card after you've won this card, right? And then there's no more ties either, right? But that's besides the point. So basically, every time that you would roll off to see who goes first, you'd have a chance to use this card. If you choose not to use this card, everything proceeds as normal, or any of the cards that I'm about to show you guys. If you want to use like a faction ability, a faction card, you must use your faction card before you use an initiative card.
So that'd be something like Casterkin allowing their ability to reroll.
Correct. And then this is very simple. You can get the initiative reroll if you lose initiative for the drop zone. And then if you lose the first turning point, you get the +1 or -1 card. You might use the -1 card on your, you might try to reroll to get this one, or use your -1 on the next turning point to get a +2. You also get at the beginning of turning point 2, if you lose that one, you would select this one. And then if you lose the third, you would get +or -3. So the initiative has changed quite dramatically. Giacomo, our battle report, before we go into the rest of these, our battle report, we experienced the brand new roles, right? Mm-hmm. What did you think? Did it change anything?
I want to say that the dice rolls we had didn't fully allow us to really benefit from the cards. So if you watch the episode, you'll know what we mean. And so I want to keep trying it before I ultimately make a decision.
Yeah, it felt very... I feel like these could come in handy every now and then, but I feel like I went first twice and you went first twice, and it didn't really matter,
Yeah,
and so that's how and sometimes that's how the game's going to be. This is not a cheese your way to get more. That's going to piss some people off, and it's going to excite some others.
Yeah, I think ultimately this change is a little nicer because now you're not having as much guys that can try to do like an alpha strike or an alpha move. You're definitely not getting extra equipment, so you may not always have the extra tools you need. So this is a new way to play it. It changes more than we might be thinking.
The problem is with this, there's no more scouting step. That means everyone who really relied on a 5th equipment doesn't get that anymore, especially on Into the Dark maps.
Yeah.
Right. So now it's which I really enjoy and I really like. And this also makes Gellerpox even better, right? Because now they can get rid of one and now you're stuck to 3, right? So there is some kind of, there's some sauce starting to happen now that people are starting to have to choose things that are actually like needed rather than just, I get every equipment choice that I want.
Right. And this will be important, right? Like, so I'm assuming whenever the next either FAQ or the next balanced data slate comes up, any teams that are affected by this are going to get some kind of update to work in the new crit op system.
Because Gallo Dark, you're gonna need light barricades or a heavy barricade, Yeah. Because guess what? They didn't change any GW maps, and those things are just full empty hallways. You're in an empty hallway of a ship, right? If you play our maps, right, it's a lot. You get a little bit more variety, But if you're playing a GW map, if you don't take light barricades or heavy barricades, you're in a whole ton of mess. All right, so it's very simple. Basically, if there is ever a tie, the player who currently doesn't have initiative is the winner. So if you're using all these cards and you come out that you have a tie, the person who didn't have initiative now has initiative. So it's very simple. Okay. Also, as a strategic gambit in the first turning point, each person selects one of their crit ops to be their primary up. So this is different from the last one. This is in play the battle. This is a required step. Somebody can no longer forget to select a primary, right? That was never the intention, but people at the beginning of the edition argued that it might have been, right? And I think we all came together as a community and was like, no, you can never forget a primary, right?
Right.
Let's not be like that, right?
Don't be like that to your opponent.
Mm-hmm. And then each player can score a maximum of 6 VP from each op. So that's crit op and kill op. There is some cards which don't specify how many you can score per round or when you can score them on certain things. So we'll kind of go through some of those. It's not terrible, but there are certain things that are like, okay, well, you could score more than 6, 100%. So you can only score 6.
Yes, that's the max.
Yeah, so we'll get to that. And then at the end of the battle, G, do you want to take us over from 5th? Did anything change in this?
I don't think too much changed from here. So the battle ends after the first turning point has been completed. Nope. And if one player has no operatives in the kill zone, but the battle's ended, the player with the most points wins. Or you keep playing until it does, and you ultimately score points. You have your primary up, and then the most VP wins. That's it. Otherwise, it's a draw. Very similar from last time. Nothing really changed there.
So the only real changes are this bullet point, pretty much all of 4, right? And then all of 4, and then nothing in 5. Those are pretty much the big changes.
Because since they had to take out that recon step, we had to change a lot. And I think this is fine. I don't dislike it so far. I'm enjoying the times I've played.
Mm-hmm. So we have initiative done. We have that done. Giacomo, do you want to go over which TAC op would you like to go over first?
Ooh, let's start with security. That's a classic.
Security?
Yeah, security is a classic.
So firstly, we have, I think, is the worst. I think we should rank these, Giacomo, from worst to best for each one.
Okay,
right?
I can do that.
So we can do some sort of a ranking, right? Now, the hard thing is with ranking, some of these TAC ops are better for different teams, right? So like Plant Banner might be really good for certain teams, and it might be really bad for others. So we'll kind of go through them. You guys will see what we're talking about here shortly. So Plant Banner, pretty cool. G, do you want to take us over on this one? Or
sure. Yeah, I can start us off. So as a mission action for 1 AP, you can place your mission marker within your operative's control range, whoever's the active operative, and as long as you're wholly within your opponent's territory and not within 5 inches of a neutral kill zone edge. Your operatives can perform the pickup marker action on your banner as well. So at the end of each turning point after the first, if your banner mission marker is wholly within your opponent's territory and friendly operatives control it, you score a VP. If that's true and no enemy operatives contest it, you score 2 VP instead. And note that your banner mission marker must be in the kill zone to score and not being carried. So it's got to be on the ground. You're planting your banner. This one
then you're defending it.
And then you're defending it. This one seems more decent if you have, I would say, a bigger team. So I probably wouldn't. I mean, you probably could do it with elites because they can defend pretty well, but I'd rather have more bodies that might be able to plant this near the end to score me points. That's how I would look at it. What do you think?
I think that this is probably the worst of the security. In my personal opinion, I think that it adds a lot of agency to your opponent. Your opponent could stop playing the game to kill your TAC op. Mm-hmm. This is really good for teams that have operatives that can really get really far into your deployment zone. I'm not sure of any security teams that have like super, super fast. I don't think like Mandrakes have security, right? What do Mandrakes have? Do they have infiltration and seek and destroy probably?
Probably, if I remember right.
Yeah. So if there's a team out there that has really fast moving operatives with security, this might be a good thing. Like maybe this is good for Blades of Cain, because they have Dire Avengers that can essentially move 7 inches, right? So you could if you take a majority of Dire Avengers, which is probably not great, maybe it is for this, but you could move really far and then put it down, and then you could just have a bunch of models on guard or something like that, overwatching your plant banner. But this is relatively difficult to max. You're surprised. All of these are going to be really hard to max. In fact, they're going to be hard to score in general. So if you were a plant banner, plant beacon, plant bacon homie, these are not going to be the TAC ops for you. Okay. These are all rather difficult to score and max. It seems as if they don't want TAC op to be your main primary every single game.
Yeah. Yep.
Elites. like you have to dedicate a model to stay near your banner. Hordes, you have to dedicate models to stay near your banner. Maybe it's good in certain teams. Maybe it is. Maybe if you have some really scary dudes, maybe Canoptic could use this pretty well because they have some really fast models, and then you can pick them up. Or if you have a team that can use mission to pick up mission markers for free, Does Exaction Squad have security? They do, right?
I think
and they have a dog.
Do. So you could do that. See, like the biggest thing is you kind of have to be really close to the center for this because you're essentially losing 10 inches of the length of the board. So you're really just playing right in that center. So you have to be able to be a kill team that can really hold the middle without losing it, right? Like that's and you have to have security. So if you don't have those two things, then maybe this isn't something you want to take.
So maybe this is like the new central control, like you're like, all right, I'm going to put like one dude on my home base and then everyone else is going into the middle of the battlefield. This might be good for exaction. Maybe, like you put it near a couple of dudes with shields behind like a light barricade, or you wouldn't have a light barricade.
Right. It's your opponent's side, but you're right with the shields. And then you could just kind of hold and hope that they can't beat you off. And I know. Don't want to get beaten on the battlefield.
This will take planning, just like most security ops. This will 100% take planning. You will have to plan. You will have to do stuff, and it gives your opponent aegis in order to stop you from scoring, which is all right. Like this can be okay. I thought about taking this against Giacomo. I did because I could just kind of like. He only has 5 guys, right? So like, because here's a tactic, right? If they only have 5 models, you have 14. Maybe I'm playing Deathcore. I could just like, just go everywhere. Like a fart in the room, just go everywhere. And then wherever Giacomo's guys go, I can like be like, oh well, he's really far from here. Turning point 2, I'm going to move dash. If he has +1 APL, move dash, and I'm going to plant like really far in your deployment zone. Thus, it would take one of his 5 models to turn around and go try and stop it, So it could be okay into 5 model teams, maybe good into Raveners, but it could also be really bad. I have no idea.
I think whenever you have more bodies versus your opponent, this is probably the best to take. That's the best scenario in my eyes.
Yeah, to take it. Yeah. We could be wrong, but hey, we haven't played this one yet. We will when we have more experience with all these, we'll come back and we'll do a tier list. We'll probably do it like after LVO.
There you go.
Yeah. So we have Martyrs up next. This one is a very cool one. This one is a lot better for hordes. This TAC op season, we will see a lot more TAC ops revolve around hordes. We might see hordes come back into the meta. So even though we have Death Watch, which is really strong, we could see hordes come back just because a lot of TAC ops are a lot better for them. Last crit ops, you had really awful TAC ops for hordes, just pretty much period, except for Beacon, right? Martyr, the first time a friendly operative is incapacitated while contesting objective. Then you would flip this card, you'd show everyone. And then whenever that friendly operative, not ready, it's very important, is incapacitated while basically a marker gets one of your martyr tokens, a martyr token, when he dies on an objective. If you contest it at the end of the turning point, you score 1 VP. If you also control it, you score 2 instead. So this also gives your opponent aegis not to kill your models while they're on objectives, right? So they don't have to kill models on objectives. You don't have to die there. But then you're getting the crit up for free.
Kind of, because you still have to remove them. So you do have to control it by the end of the turn. So if you're unable to do that, then you can't score that part.
Correct. If they are able to kill all the models on that objective, then you can't score anything anyways because you could never do it. And then maybe it just has like 5 martyr tokens,
This one I think is easier to score though, because if you're right, if you're playing hordes, you can just send some very expendable people to just be like, just die, and then you drop some points, and you can still overwhelm them, and then score some points off this objective. And cool, I got him. You know.
Well, it's really good for teams like Deathcore because you can like be really aggressive with the plasma, move a plasma out on an objective, make a shot. Cool, your plasma's dead. He's going to die anyways. Now there's a martyr point on it. Then you could charge a couple models onto it, score the point, contest it. You know, you could do that from your back one too. You can just be like, hey, you're going to kill my grenade launcher? He's out. You want to kill him? You want to kill him? You know, it's good for Hearthkin. You know, Hearthkin are going to like this as well, because if they don't kill your model that's on engage, awesome. You know, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's good for Sanctifiers, you know. Sanctifiers are harder to kill because
for some reason they're really hardy.
They're really hardy on objectives.
Some reason, you know, whatever.
Ultimately, in my opinion, this is the best security tac op, but it's not good for 5 model teams.
Yeah, because you don't really want to be losing bodies.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be if you just like overwhelm one side. So, like for instance, I was talking to somebody about this. My preferred Death Watch team is way different than Giacomo's. Way different. I would take the Breacher, the Marksman, the Leader, the Xenophase Blades guy, and the Aegis. Right? Those are mine. You know, three melee guys.
Oh, yeah, we just switched to two models.
Yes, 2 models. It's still way different, John.
I mean, realistically, the Breacher is the best Gravis armor there is. It's just so good.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
He's just literally the best.
So, like, one thing you could do is you could like throw all 3 melee guys at your opponent's home objective, because we'll see a lot of crit ops that require you to take your opponent's home objective. So you could take like the Aegis, the Watchmaster, and the Xenophase Blade and just rush your opponent's objective. One of them's going to die on it, right? Cool. Now you have 2 crazy Space Marines killing anything else on it, and then you can score it, right? So it's possible that it's really good.
I'd give you the counter of this is if you're really strong, you might never die, and then you never can score martyrs, right?
If you if you never die, you might be winning anyways.
You might be winning anyways. Right? You might be getting a few more things,
but that is a problem. If you never die, you can't score martyr.
So that is one of the downsides. So I definitely think you nailed it with the hordes, though. Hordes will love this. Yes,
it's a lot better with hordes.
They're ready to die.
Mm-hmm. It's also great on Canoptic. Right?
On Canoptic, it's a good one. Anything with basically 8 or more models, I think.
Does Rekka Crew get this?
I
know they have Seek and Destroy.
I think they might have security because what else would they get? They're not infiltrating and they're not recon.
Well, they could just run their. We have to find out.
Well, because the squigs shouldn't affect this ability, if I remember right.
Yeah, no, they would. Why wouldn't they? It's one of your operatives that dies on your thing, you know?
Let's double check that, because I believe that the squigs say that they can't.
You had the same question with my expended operatives. That was not the case, remember?
I believe so.
Downloads, kill team. Where are they? Rekka Crew. So we go to Rekka Bomb Squig. What did these guys have first? They have Seek and Destroy and
security. Yeah, that makes sense.
So the Bomb Squigs, this operative is ignored for all of your opponent's kill op and elimination op. It's also ignored for victory conditions and scoring VPs if either require the operative to escape, survive, or be incapacitated by enemy operatives. If it survives, so by enemy operatives, right? We go back to this one. You're killing yourself.
I guess, yeah, it doesn't necessarily specify. I guess that's a good point, yeah.
Whenever a friendly operative is incapacitated while controlling an objective marker, that marker gains one of your martyr tokens.
Right. And if
I don't see why not.
Yeah,
if you guys disagree with us, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
So your squig runs up, blows himself up, gets yourself a martyr token on that objective. Then all you got to do is go take it. Yeah,
which you can do as Rekka Crew. You could definitely do.
Ooga booga.
Yeah, they can be tough,
Yeah, pretty fun. Next up, we have Envoy.
Envoy's all right. This one's kind of like what was it? Escort Operative or something was the old one.
Yeah, from 2018, I think, or the 2021. Yeah.
This one can be good if you know you're going to have an operative that isn't going to be attacked or isn't going to be aggressive. They're just going to be on your opponent's side and just, scoring points that way. That's the only time I really see this useful. And that's probably better on elite teams that can, or maybe not even elite teams, maybe on bigger teams, like 10-man teams.
So how does this work, Giacomo?
So in the strategic gambit phase, you pick one of your ready operatives. You pick one of your friendly operatives, and until the next strategy phase, you can't select let me restart that whole thing. As a strategic gambit, on each turning point after the first, select one friendly operative to be your envoy until the ready step of the next strategy phase. You cannot select an operative you selected during a previous turn. And then in the turning point after the first, if your envoy is wholly within your opponent's territory and is not within control range of enemy operatives, you score a VP. If that's the case, and then they also haven't taken any damage, then you score 2 VP. Now, the way it's worded is if you take damage, but then you heal it, you would still have lost wounds during that turning point, so you'd still just score 1 VP. So if your envoy can be really good about being by themselves, like your opponents aren't going to send anything, then this is an easy 2 points every time. I actually think Envoy's really, really good with like teams like Kasserkin, where you can send a body and your opponent's not going to go after them because you just have other distractions happening. Then you're good to go. I think this is better for those kind of teams.
Yeah, I definitely could see that. I could see Envoy being pretty good. The only problem is Kasserkin die really quickly. Once that model dies, I've seen a lot of Kasserkin players get wiped, right? So I still think Envoy is going to be very hard to max. It almost seems like a win harder one. Like you're kind of in your opponent's territory, and then, you can keep attacking them. Hold on. I in the middle of this thought, what does Felgor have?
They have Seek and Destroy and Recon, if I remember right.
Do they have Recon? What?
If I recall correctly, because they're not.
Yep, Recon and Seek and Destroy.
Yeah.
All right.
So they're not going to have this. But either way, they don't want to end within control range because then they can't score points. So this is for teams that want to kind of be hidden for a little bit. A Vet Guard could really make use of this since you have so many bodies. You can be like, this guy's going to be my envoy who's sitting in the back until I absolutely need him to do something.
Well, Ratlings might be good with this.
Ratlings might be good with this too. Well, they have to get into your opponent. So that'd be your grappling hook guy who would be like, I'm going to do this at the end and I'm going to score us 2 VP.
Yeah, he's like a free 2 points. You're probably going to get 2 points on this no matter what, which is actually pretty good because there's going to be a lot of tac ops. A lot of times that you score 1 point on tac ops.
Right. So any number, and this seems the easiest to me to get. That being said, you do have to kind of plan a few operatives that are going to be your envoys because once one has done it, that's it. They're retired. They can't do envoy again. Or from the previous turn. So I guess you could just get 2 and just kind of juggle them back and forth. But at that point, if you have a good opponent, they're going to be on to you and start blasting those guys.
During a previous turning point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think is it a previous or is it all?
A previous. So you could have
you cannot select
A, B, and then go back to A since you didn't select it in the time you selected B. So you could juggle 2 of them if you can get really good at moving those 2.
Yeah, but
oh, no, I'm sorry. You're right.
It's also referencing. No, but I mean, it's a good question, right? It's referencing turning point. So
yeah, rereading this, you're absolutely right. Actually, yeah, because that was a previous turn. I was misreading that. So yeah, so as long as you got 3 guys you can plan to do your envoys, then you can score 6 points pretty easily. I think Hordes probably have it best for this one.
Mm-hmm. I think hordes do, but I definitely think that some elite teams can, especially if you don't expect your elites to die. The problem is late game, if you don't have a lot of members left, you're gonna struggle with envoy, especially if. Go ahead.
Yeah, like the one nice thing about Envoy is they're probably not going to die. They might take injury, so at least you're scoring one victory point. So that's at least something, you know?
Absolutely.
Some insurance.
Moving on. Speaking of which, Kill Op, they did not change, unfortunately. Kill Op is the exact same.
Yep, same as before.
Very, very unfortunate. I would like to see Kill Op change so that we don't have to kill off everyone on your opponent's team, because it can be feels bad for you and your opponent. I know that when I'm playing, I don't like to table my opponent. I don't feel good afterwards. I don't sleep well at night afterwards, you know?
Right. But if you're trying to max
only
out,
if I maliciously hate them do I thoroughly enjoy it.
Which I imagine is pretty rare.
Unless if they deserved it.
So if you lose all your operatives while playing against Dakotah, you know what's up.
Yeah, you know that I'm like, you made one too many colorblind jokes, my guy. You know,
you're out of here.
This colorblind fellow doesn't like that. Doesn't take kindly to your neck of the woods. You know. Next up, we are going to talk about infiltration. Infiltration has notoriously been bad. Well, not bad. Implant was okay, right?
But now
we have plant devices. To be honest, I did not read the infiltration tac ops super thoroughly. I read them all. I was like, this one's the best. I don't like the rest, you know? So
I mean, that's how players should see it, right? They find the best and then they play.
What
Look at
they
last
like
season,
the best.
right? We had plant beacons every time, like every game. But speaking of plant beacons, this is kind of its successor. So you do this the first time a friendly operative would plant the device. So you select an objective marker that active operative controls, and it gains from your device tokens. And at the end of each turning point after the first, if your opponent's objective marker has one of the tokens, you score a VP. If for each other objective marker, enemy objective contest that has one of your device tokens, you score one VP. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah, so for each other objective marker that contests. So let's read this one more time just to make sure that we all comprehend it thoroughly. So you have a mission action. You can only do it once per turning point per operative. One objective marker, the active operative controls, gains your plant device token. Now, what is the negatives of this? An operative cannot perform this action during the first turning point while within enemy control range, or if that objective marker already has one of your plant device tokens. Okay. If your opponent objective marker has one, so that's the far back one. And for each other objective marker, enemy operatives contest that has one of your device tokens, score 1 3P. Now, this is interesting because you want them to contest your back home objective, or you want them to contest the middle objective, which objectively makes this difficult to score. The only way that you do your scoring multiple times is if you plant your device on your opponent's objective, which may be difficult to do because you have to control it like turning point 2, plant the device, and then you're guaranteed basically 3, right? Your opponents can't remove it. You could just auto plant pretty much everything on turning point like 2, or 3. But if your opponents never go to the objectives, this one could be pretty decent if you put it on your own objective and your back objective, and you select tac op and you just let them run away with the crit op. But then you're letting them run away with the crit op, but you have to really focus on your opponents. That's difficult, man, because there's a lot of other tac ops that are like, hey, get to your opponent's objective or crit ops and stuff like that. It's interesting.
Now here's something I'm curious about. The wording says enemy operative contest. So does that mean you need to also control it and then you're both contesting? Or do they just have to control
each other operative objective marker, enemy operatives contest that have one of your device tokens. So if there's ever an enemy model on an objective marker, they're considered contesting it.
Gotcha. Just wanted to make sure that was the wording for it.
So
yes.
You don't have, so even if you own the objective, you're still contesting it.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. So yeah, you're right. You would give up what potentially could be the crit op for plant device, which could work in your favor if you think you know your opponent's going to be really aggressive and try to get the mission that they can do. Then that's something, you know?
I mean, it's interesting to say the least. I don't think it's bad. It's very weird.
Yeah, I think this so far this is decent. Because again, it's kind of like buying insurance, whether you're getting the crit up, like I'm planning device also. So like if they kill me and they take it, I get a point, you know?
So this might be bad for things like secure, or if you're going into like a good opponent, because they could just walk onto the point, tap it, and then move and get off. They could, and completely deny your plant devices. Right. But there are multiple crit ops that specify whoever controls more. So if you're going to take plant devices, make sure that you're also taking it with the crit op that specifically you need to control more than your opponent, right? Because you have a much higher likelihood that your opponent's going to try and be on objective markers.
Yes.
You know, it's very important.
Yes, and this is a bit of a mixed bag against elites who might be able to counteract and just walk away after they've done the mission.
Oh my gosh!
So watch out for that. So be careful. Like if it's loot, they could tap it. Your device there doesn't matter. They could just back up afterwards or something. So watch out for that. You know, think about your opponent now. This is tougher now. They really making tac ops hard.
Yeah, but I would say like there are multiple victory, like multiple things that are like, hey, your opponent has to control. And if they're not on the objective, they don't contest it, right? So, you know, I think it still can be good during the right crit op. Next up, we have Steel Intelligence. I believe this is the one that I actually enjoyed. I'll take this one over.
For sure.
So the first time an enemy, so you reveal this the first time you kill somebody, right? Whenever an enemy operative is incapacitated before it's removed from the kill zone, place one of your intelligence mission markers within its control range. This is the new confirm kill, which is interesting because it's no longer in seek and destroy. It is an infiltration. Friendly operatives can perform the pickup marker action on your intelligent mission markers. And for the purposes of that action's conditions, ignore the first intelligent mission marker for the active operatives carrying. In other words, each friendly operative can carry up 2 intelligent mission markers or one and one other marker, right? So if there's multiple markers they're carrying around, they can carry up to 2.
Cool.
So there are the victory points for this specific mission is at the end of each turning point after the first, if any friendly operatives are carrying any of your intelligence mission markers, score 1 VP. So you have to be holding 2. At the end of the battle, for each of your intelligence mission markers friendly operatives are carrying, score 1 VP. Now, this is interesting because there is no maximum 2 on this one.
Yep.
Right? So on turning point 3, you could go around and pick up a bunch, right? And then you can, you know, if you're still alive, this is the one that I would have taken for just striking scorpions where they have 3 APL and they have the ability to do this kind of thing. You know, I definitely would have considered this. I think this one's pretty okay as long as you can live to the end of the game. Because you can just pick up 2 markers and then run away.
Yeah, as long as they're carrying it the whole time, you know?
Mm-hmm. Or at the end of the game, G.
Yeah, because you definitely want to score some points during it too. But at the end, you don't need to be carrying. You don't have to. You're right. Yeah, you could just carry 6 at the end, and yeah. Pretty cool. You're right. You could just have 3 guys with 2 each, and you score 6. So this is probably one of the easier ones to get if you have 3 APL. So like you mentioned, striking scorpions are actually really good with this.
Yeah, but you still have to have 3 dudes alive. So
she's totally doable. You just make sure to pick on weak guys that aren't going to fight back.
So take this one into weak teams, you know, if you're going to be like, win. Because to be honest, dude, if I had to kill like all 5 Space Marines to pick up 2 mission markers for each, because you don't like a 12 wound operative doesn't drop 2. They still drop 1.
Yep.
This is objectively not great into elites.
I actually love this while playing Nemesis Claw, because one thing I loved about Implant was, well, I hated, I would always implant them and then kill them. So like I got 1 point. That's it. Now I can kill them and score it. So I'll get 2 points, more than likely going to get 2 points because they're elites. So they'll probably survive to the end. This is actually perfect for elite infiltration operatives. If you got those, you know,
exciting.
And I think you're still right about striking scorpions. They can still do this too. Like if one striking scorpion kills somebody, the buddy comes in and picks it up and runs away.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So steel intelligence. What do you rate in steel intelligence? I think this is probably like an A tier. Pretty decent.
A tier for sure. And if we had to go back to this previous one, I think
plant devices.
Plant devices. I'd put this one in
situational. So that's situational.
That's falling into C tier for me. It's less likely I'm going to be using this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm going to use this one too often. There might be a couple of rounds that I would use this on. I'd probably put this in B tier for me, just depending on the TO or the event that you're going to. You should know whether or not you can, if this is going to be useful. Yeah, I mean, it's all right.
Right, because it's also kind of mission dependent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's like probably D tier usually, but it might be B tier. Which probably makes it C tier.
That's why I'm throwing in C. It's a little too situational, like when it might happen. Where like the other one, steel intelligence, like, oh cool, I get it. I get points by just playing the mission. I was already going to kill you anyways.
Yeah,
because that's half the fun of the game.
So track enemy is up next.
All right. So I'll take this one real quick. So the first time you score victory points from this operatives, this op is when you reveal it. An enemy operative is being tracked if it's a valid target for friendly operatives within 6 of it. That friendly operative must have a conceal order. It cannot be a valid target for the enemy operative it's attempting to track and cannot be within control range of enemy operatives. So this one was kind of like a track target. I think it was called track target, or it might have just been called track enemy from last one. This one's still a little tough to do unless you have a lot of bodies with infiltration that you could just be like, that guy's just going to stare at you and not do anything the whole time. But you got to be within 6. So that's kind of the harder part too. Like you really got to just be there. However, if no enemy operative is being tracked, you scored if one enemy operative is being tracked, you score a victory point. 2 if it's the fourth turning point. And if 2 or more operatives are being tracked, you score 2 VP. So this one though, although it's a little harder to do because you get closer, you can score them. I shouldn't say harder to do. Although you aren't doing as much because you're kind of making a guy go within 6 to do the mission, you can actually score this one pretty easily in my eyes if you have that kind of team. But I wouldn't do this with elites who really need to use everything, because you literally give somebody up.
The problem is that the friendly operative must have a conceal order.
Mm-hmm.
So this might be okay for
I'd give
Ratlings.
I'd give this to Ratlings for sure. I would probably give this to
Commandos.
You could do Commandos.
Mm-hmm.
What are they? They're Flame Elves, Mandrakes. This is decent for Mandrakes who could just get in really close and just be like, I'm just going to watch you. And they have enough bodies that they can I can sacrifice a guy to just score me, 2 victory points or, get me some points throughout the game and not worry. Right.
Yeah. I think it's difficult because you want to kill people and this is anti-killing people. But if they go to engage, then you can kill them, which helps with kill op. I mean, this one seems harder for me as a player. This is not my play style. I would probably rate this rather low just because I'm not a big fan of the way that this would play. Sure, Ratlings are a lot of fun, but I'm also not a big Commandos guy. But the problem is in Commandos, you want to charge from conceal, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to
So since you mentioned that, I actually think this one's kind of okay for them because the first turn you do this,
you can't kill the dude.
Exactly. You just do it the first time. So you score the points. Then next turn, you're already set up because you're within 6 to do the charge.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of you're sort of setting yourself up and getting points. So teams that want to do that setup is good for it, which I believe is mostly just Commandos. And I guess Mandrakes could do it too.
Ratlings could, just because you could I'm going to track target on this guy or track enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to run away, because you only have to be within 6 of it to do the action. Right. So you could do it. And then as long as you're not a valid target and then run away, you can't do this while you're in close combat or charging somebody or in control range because you're a valid target. It also specifically says that.
Right.
I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Of course, I said I'm going to sneeze, so now I'm not going to sneeze.
No longer blessing you. Now you'll sneeze. No, but so so realistically, because you have to get this point at the end of the turning point, so you kind of have to be prepared to either run away right away the next turn, or be willing to charge that guy right after in the next turn, and then to have somebody else do it too. So I think there's only a few teams that really can score this in my eyes.
Well, this is also rather okay if you know you're not going to kill all the enemy models. So if you're going into Death Watch and you know you're going to struggle in killing models, all you have to do is track them. You don't have to survive.
Mm-hmm. God forbid you play into Raveners who just may not be on the board for you to do this. Because you also do within 6 of them.
That too. But if you do it and then they go into their hole, right, then you're like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Wait, does the model have to be on the operative being tracked? Okay, so it just has to be tracked. It doesn't have to be on the battlefield.
Well, at the end of the turn is when you score it. So they have to be still meeting all the track requirements. So if at the end of turn they're not within 6 anymore, then so this this is a tough one against Raveners. Really pick models that you expect. Like, I think into Hordes this is okay because they might put a guy who's like, he's just going to sit here and not do anything, and he's not going to do anything, so you can get a little close and track him real quick, and then this one feels like perfect for Ratlings. Like every time I look at this, I just think like Ratlings. This is perfect for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's all right. I'd probably give it a C tier. I think most things are going to get C's for me. Like this might be all right.
Just because I think the low number of teams that really benefit from this one versus the previous one that we definitely gave an A, the stealth or Steel Intelligence. This one for me is also getting a C.
Yeah, I feel like this will probably be good on very specific teams and in specific matchups. Just like how Plant Devices, right, is really good on specific crit ops.
Right.
And then Steel Intelligence is really good against like Horde teams.
Right. And most of the time, this is always going
to be useful. Have to have 3 APL. These are like
or a friend.
They're like a niche of a niche.
Yeah, the Steel Intelligence has the most use because at least you could send a few guys to like, all right, one guy kills somebody, he can go pick it up now and run away. At least there's that. So it's literally A tier. It has the best options for you to do. The other two rely a little too much on things, which may not happen. Because what if your opponent never comes close enough, or you only get it at the very end? Then you're not getting the track enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So I think we will probably try and rank these as like a full like list afterwards. We'll do our best,
Absolutely.
Next up we have Seek and Destroy.
Ooh.
So we have Rout. When I first read this, I was a massive hater. Massive. Absolutely. I just complained nonstop to Giacomo over the phone. He was at work and I was just Rout. Rout. I was
helped
very
me through
upset.
the day.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Rout is really weird. Very weird. It is, after thinking about it for longer, I think it's really good with very specific teams. It's very difficult to score. I will take it since I complained about it so much. It is Seek and Destroy. The first time that you're able to score this VP is when you reveal it. And then I'll read the victory points for our podcast listeners. Whenever a friendly operative incapacitates an enemy operative, if that friendly operative is within 6 of your opponent's drop zone, you score 1 VP. If this is true and that enemy operative has at least 12 or more wounds, you score 2 VP instead. You cannot score more than 2 VP from this op per turning point. This to me is very difficult to score unless if you're a very fast team. I believe Mandrakes could probably score this. Felgor could probably score this. Maybe, because you might just have some teams that just, you're probably taking Rout, or you might be taking Rout. I'm just gonna, or once they see you have Rout, then they just move everyone.
They have to leave.
hide from their backdrop. Like it's very playable. It's very gamey, right? But I think the best team with this is going to be Vespids. Vespids have a massive amount of movement. They fly really heavily, and they can just ignore a bunch of terrain. So I think it's going to be easiest for them to get within this range measurement, and then they have really strong guns, right? So those guns will also be able to attack. This might be okay for Pathfinders if Pathfinders can really get across the board into certain teams.
I definitely think
if
you're
Pathfinders
right.
even have.
Yeah, because they have recon and I want to say they have security. I think I could be wrong about the security part. I haven't played them in a long time. But this, like you mentioned with Felgor, this is great for them because they want to just push forward. And if your opponent, so essentially from your opponent's side of the board, they have 9 inches that they kind of have to watch out for. Because if they're within that 9 inches, then that's where they start getting route. So you can always be really aggressive and push yourself forward and deny them route by not being within your drop zone.
Imagine
area.
Both teams take route and it's impossible for
right because everyone stays right exactly in that little.
Well, imagine all of your
bubble.
operatives are trying to get to their side of the board, and all of your
exactly
operatives are trying to get to their side of the board, and you're like, oh, I can't do melee if we're on opposite sides of the table. Oh, okay.
Right. So I think Vespids probably have a really good time with this. Though route, I still think is fine into horde teams who might stick back. Like if you're playing into Deathcore may not leave their zone, especially because a lot of the rules want you to sort of stay there.
Breachers
are a big one who want you to stay there.
In their zone.
So this is kind of perfect to counter them if you see that happening.
Pathfinders and Brood Brothers also might stay in their side of the table a lot.
For sure. That
they like the castle.
It's like the castle. So you can break their castle and get route. And you're probably not scoring 12 super often because elites aren't really staying back too often. Maybe one, but you're probably not killing that elite.
You're not scoring this very heavily against Void Dancers, I don't think. Maybe you score it once by killing their Shadow Jester if you can get around all the other troopers. Inquisition, maybe,
Oh, Inquisition could be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Gellerpox, maybe if you're killing the back guys, but typically they're all trying to move forward too.
Right. And
I think route is going to be dependent on, again, the crit op. I think the crit ops, the thing that I like about this whole edition change better, right, is the thing I like about this way more than anything else is the amount of tactical variety and the change it has tactically over everything, and it's going to really showcase skill rather than just taking beacons or hold them back or any of those kinds of things. Right?
Simple ones.
Yeah. So
what do you rank it?
I don't want to say I like route. Like, I'm going to give it a C. I think that it's good for very specific teams and very specific matchups on very specific crit ops. It's uninspiring to me. I like where they're going with it, but if I'm going against a team that might take route, I'm just going to charge up the battlefield. The best team, maybe the best team with this is going to be Raveners. Raveners is going to pin you in your backfield, and then they're just going to attack you. I'm just thinking of the time that I played against your Battleclade,
Right. And that's the thing is you got into me really quick, right? I would give this a B tier because if you can actually start getting in with big elites that like Raveners, for example, they start just beating people up, they're going to score these things pretty easily. But I don't know if Raveners are the best. I think you nailed it with Vespids and with Felgor. I think those are the two that are going to do really well. And also Goremongers, actually, because they move quick.
Too, yeah,
they move quick, and they will surprise your opponent before they get in there, and they will kill something. Who needs 12 or more wounds? You just kill a lot of little guys, and you're scoring the points.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's dependent on who you're going to be playing into. I don't think it's a great tack op to play into Deathwatch. Deathwatch, dude,
because we're moving, you're in the middle of the board or on your opponent's side. That's what you have to do.
They have five members, and they're coming to you to fight.
Yeah, they have to, or else,
yeah. And like Raveners, they're coming to you to fight. So this is very team dependent. It's going to be very skill reliant now. We're going to see people be able to flex their skills in events rather than just rely on rather normal tax,
Yeah, route is a counterpick for sure against security teams.
I'm going C tier. What did you say?
I'm giving it B because against most security teams, I think you can usually get this.
I just don't like that you have to be within 6.
That's a 9-inch bubble, essentially, you know?
We got dominate. You want to take this one, G?
Absolutely. So you reveal this the first time an enemy operative is incapacitated while contesting an objective marker, or the first time a friendly operative performs the clear action, whichever one comes first. As an additional rule, when an enemy operative that contests an objective marker is incapacitated, that objective marker gains one of your swept tokens, if it doesn't already have one, until the ready step of the next strategy phase. So then you have your mission action clear. An objective marker the active operative controls is cleared for the turning point. You can't perform this during the first turning point or while within control range of enemy operatives. And so the way you score victory is at the end of each turning point after the first, if friendly operatives control any objective markers that have one of your swept tokens, you score 1 VP. If this is true, and those objective markers are also cleared, you score 2 VP. And you can't score more than 2, so you could try to do this a bunch, but 2 is the max you can get per turning point. So pretty simple. You just run up to an objective marker. Let's say they're playing loot. You run up to them after they looted something, you shoot them, and then you clear it. This is decent with elites. If you expect them to run up onto the objective where you can probably wipe them out with your weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good against teams that you think are going to take martyr.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone who
you're both scoring
objectives. Yeah.
And you're going to be, now you want to control their objective. You know, This also is like if you think that one of your opponents is going to take sweep and clear, that's when you're going to want to take your plant devices, you know, for an infiltration.
There's a lot of counterpicking.
Sweep and clear is really, really, really good for Rekka crew, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that because they have a lot of
the bomb squig, who's expendable, charges, blows up on an objective and kills somebody. I believe you score 1 VP, right? At the end of the turning point, if friendly operatives control. So you have to control it, but you can give it a sweep token, and swept tokens stay, right? They don't go away. So you could do this on the middle objective. You could do it on the back objective with one of your now your squigs, they have a goal. It's no longer just find somebody in the open and kill them. They want to kill themselves somewhere, which is weird.
They want to kill the guy they want to kill the enemy on the objective, because then that means you've killed them. So you can get that. Then you can have a guy come and sweep it and like, cool, I got 2 VP now. Yeah.
Or you could charge, fight, get an extra AP, and then you could tap it, you know? So, and then you could clear it.
That's another thing. If you have guys that can do that, that's a good one.
And then if somebody comes up and kills your guy, then you have another squig to run in and blow them up too. And you're like, you're
just giving me more fuel. Yeah. This is an A in my eyes. There's no real downside to this because you kind of want to do this anyways, and your opponent's probably going to be on an objective marker at some point. And so you can take this from them.
I'm going to go C tier. And
C tier?
I'll explain it.
All right.
There's a lot of things you have to do to score this one. You have to kill somebody on a point. Then you have to contest it. Is it contest? It's contest, right? You have to. Then you have to control it. And then if you also spend an APL to clear it, then you're score 2. I just feel like there's a lot of. I feel like there's a lot of what is that called? APL investment, like way too much to like really justify scoring 2 points. Like plant beacon, I got one dude running down the field. I'm going to plant it, 1 APL action. Cool. This is like, I got to kill somebody. Then I got to control it. Then I got to sweep it, or then I have to clear it. And that's how I score 2. I feel like there's a lot to do on it, and it's better for teams who have a lot of APL. I don't know.
I don't see it quite like that. Like if you're playing an not an elite team, let's say a melee team, and again, most of these missions are going to have your opponent be on objectives. So you can charge them, you kill them with somebody, you scored the victory. All right. And then somebody else will come in and sweep the point because you own it now, more likely, especially if you're elites, because you just have more APL and you have a better chance of controlling it. That's why I think it's so good. But I understand what you're right. If your opponent's not on the objective, you're not scoring this, right? Yeah. You're absolutely right about that. In a perfect world where I think opponents will be, and that's the only real thing you have to do, and make sure to kill them, which I like to think you're going to put your good weapon there, because you don't have to do it in control range. You could have a guy shoot him from far, as long as they're on the objective, and have someone else sweep it. But you do have to get that. That's the one thing. But that setup's not too hard in my eyes. For
me, I think it's difficult because, like, if they're on an objective, they're more than likely on conceal, unless if they have martyr, you know. And then like this is really good, possibly for specific teams. Like I think Felgor are really possibly pretty decent with this, you know. Elites are probably pretty good with it, but it is just pretty situational. I think the next security tac op is my favorite and the best of the seek and destroy tacs.
All right, show us. What do you think?
So I kind of give both C, and then this one I give A. Dominate, which I think was revealed already. I think. The first time an enemy operative is incapacitated by friendly operatives, each time a friendly operative incapacitates an enemy operative, that friendly operative gains one of your dominate tokens. At the end of the third and fourth turning point, you can remove dominate tokens from friendly operatives that aren't incapacitated. For each that you remove, score 1. This is hard into elites, right? Because you really got to dominate elites in order to remove. And then even if you're going into 5 operatives, you got to table them. And then you can only still score 5 points if you're able to score all of them. But here's the thing. These are tokens. That's important. It's important. They're not markers. So Raveners can pick up the tokens and leave the battlefield. Markers, you're not allowed to pick up and leave the battlefield. You drop them.
Yeah. So I actually don't know if Raveners always want to take this because, they can do a lot of damage.
If I'm going into this is my dream scenario, right? Raveners take this. I think this is like their Raveners' biggest win. Raveners start on the battlefield with their prime on the board and the Venom Sack guy on the board. They get a cheeky shut off turning point 1 or turning point 2, and they're able to kill 2 people, maybe 3 people with the Venom Sack guy, and then he moves into the tunnel, goes into the tunnel. You auto score on turning point 3, 2 or 3 VP, period. If you're able to get a multi-kill.
Right. We're assuming that your opponent's gonna miss deploy or something, right? In the reality, though, that might not happen, and then you might just have like 2 points throughout, because a lot of time you're hiding, right? Until like turns 3 and 4 when you're actually starting to do it. Not to say you can't suddenly have a crazy win, because I've seen a Ravener model come out and then kill 3 guys. Like you absolutely could do that. I just hope you don't die on the way out. So it's definitely possible, but I think this.
But the thing is, Giacomo, this is scored at the end of the third and fourth turning point,
right? So and that's if the guy doesn't die.
And they can score up to 3. Well, Raveners have 21, or they have 21 wounds, right?
21
wounds.
Yeah, 20 wounds. 21 on the prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they heal. They're relatively hard to kill. I think this is my favorite tac op for really big tanky elites. Like this is even probably what I might take against Horde teams.
You definitely should.
With Deathwatch.
Absolutely, because you can one shot them, and then that's cool.
The marksman can kill 2 people per turn,
and you get 2 dominates. Yeah, elites probably have the best time into this, and this is like the absolute one for elites, and decently into like the models that you think will kill somebody and survive. Like I don't think Sanctifiers have Seek and Destroy, right? I don't think so.
I can look.
That would feel like a weird thing for them to have, but I'm worried they might. They'd have like security and they have recon, I think. But if they have Seek and Destroy, then you could take this too and just be surprisingly tanky and stop your opponent from like because
they have Seek and Destroy.
No.
And they have security.
Oh my gosh. Because you could take this and just be like, I'm gonna kill a lot of the little weak guys. Have him retire from the rest of the game and score me 3 points over there while I still do the work. Oh no, that's really strong.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that this can be good on. You just have to make sure that they live, which can be difficult. They're going to have a target on their head once they kill somebody, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of times it might be the end of an activation and they move out and they kill somebody. At the end of turning point 3, and they've killed 2 people now. And then it's like, cool, I'm going to score 2 points,
right. Which might be the best thing is to try to split this up into twos if you can.
But what's crazy is that this is also from friendly operatives. So that means that you can have multiple people, right? Have these tokens. Like you can score from multiple models. It just doesn't have to be one guy.
Right.
So I easily think that dominate, as long as that you are comfortable with your models surviving turning point 3 and 4, like this might be good for Chaos Cult. You know, you have a torment that's killed 1 or 2 models, or 2 torments that have killed 1 or 2 models. You score 3 points. End of TP3. You know, we've already talked about how hard some of these other tac ops are to score. You know, this one could be strong. Could be.
Yeah, probably not into elites, but against, because you may just not have enough.
Yeah.
Like if you're fighting 5 guys and you kill 5 guys, you can only score 5 points.
Yeah, 5 guys is a good burger.
It is burgers and fries. So yeah, so into like, you know, standard teams and horde teams, this is probably really good to take into it. And you still could take it into elites and be like, cool, it's just free points. You know,
10 model teams, it might be auto take. You know,
yeah, it's hard not to want dominate.
If you drop below 10, it becomes harder. Maybe 9, yeah. Maybe 8, yeah. 7, I don't even know if we have a 7. 6 models, I don't think I'd take dominate, but maybe it's your best case because you don't think you're going to score route. Because if you're going 6 models v 6 models or 5 models v 6 models, are you really going to score that many on route?
No, you should take dominate. Both players are probably going to take dominate.
Yeah. That's what I think.
I got to change my previous one. After seeing this, my previous was going to go to a B tier, and this will take the A tier.
Okay. So we have dominate, sweep and clear, and route. So you think route is B, sweep and clear is C, and then dominate is A?
Yeah, just because route is still, it's not as easy as like dominate is literally you can just get points by killing something and surviving.
I agree in this order, but I think sweep and clear can be good. Oops.
Of course. Yeah, if you have the right option for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it can be good in the right situation.
But it does need just a bit more setup where route is like you do have to get a little closer, but there's less setup.
Yeah, because even dominate's still good in the teams that have martyr. You know, like you're going to be like, yeah, I'm okay. I'll kill your model on that objective, and I'm going to go take my tokens, and then I'm going to fight you. You know?
Right, and you could still score points at the end, and just you make tac op nothing, and you both break on tac op.
Yeah. So next up, we have tac ops before we move on to crit ops. So we have flank. I am a massive hater on this. It's actually pretty okay. I can't tell you. So I don't know about you guys, but in school, I would read a textbook and then I would fall asleep about 5 minutes in. Has to do with my ADD, whatever, my learning disabilities and stuff. I could not read this card. I could not understand this card. This felt like I was reading the Hardy Boys again, back when I was forced to read out loud for 30 minutes at a time in 2nd grade because I was so bad at reading, which you guys might be able to tell. Dakotah's not a great reader, It does take me quite a long time to start to understand the English language in its written form. This tac op, I cannot stand the way this tac op is read. I don't understand it. I will help you understand it. I am not going to read this card because this card is written very, very poorly, in Dakotah's opinion. I will heavily criticize this tac op as being the worst worded crit op in the entire tac op that I have ever read. That might not be true, but I have recency bias, and thus it's true for me. This tac op is amazing for Felgor. Absolutely amazing. You're still wondering, well, Dakotah, what is flank? Well, let me tell you. As you can see, there are 3 orange operatives in the gray side's territory on their side of a square. So you're going to split the kill zone into 4 zones. You have your left hemisphere or your eastern one, and you have your western one. You score a point if you have more of your operatives than they have their operatives in each other's contesting territory. So if you have Felgor models in the enemy's territory, and you have 3 of them, like this one says, right? And they have 2 Pathfinder operatives, because I like to kill Pathfinders in your territory. You have more operatives on this side of the Eastern Hemisphere, so you would score a point. Let's see if that scores you 2 points. Okay. After you reveal this op at the end of each turning point after the first, for each flank friendly operatives control, you score 1 VP. If friendly operatives also controlled that flank at the end of the previous turning point, you score 2 VP instead. So if you want to score 2 VP on turning point 2, you have to have all of your Felgor in their territory on both sides of the table. Okay. That's what you got to do. That's what you're doing. Okay. Because then you're going to score both. And then in later ones, if you have all of your Felgor and you move them all to one side, right? Now you have like 20 APL on one hemisphere, the Eastern Hemisphere, right? Then you're going to score 2 VP because you don't need to control both anymore. That's the only way to max it. Okay. Why is this so complicated? I don't know. Why is it so poorly worded? I don't know. If you don't think it's poorly worded, let me know in the comments, or if you're listening to the podcast, come onto our Discord and tell us, that, hey, this was really easy for me to read. And I'll be like, congratulations, your college level reading level. Mine's high school level. Okay. Like even though I have a degree, my reading is bad. Giacomo, did me explaining this help you understand it?
Yes, because one thing is I didn't have to read all the words. Not that I wouldn't eventually figure it out, but it's just one of those, we're playing a game. Now I have to read an additional thing or explain it to my opponent. It's just one of those, this kind of slows it down, and I don't love that. But the attack up itself is very good.
It is very good.
That's
basically, you're like, hey, I just got to get my dudes on your side of the board and have more
in your
on
quadrant.
I have to have more operatives on the north side of the border and more APL than on the right and left. This is great into Raveners, because Raveners aren't on the table. You just want to run into their territory and just have a party, right?
Yep. And you have more than they would wholly within yours.
And then
therefore
you're good.
Flanked. Yep.
So you're having a good time, right? So this is great into certain teams. It's great for others, right? Notice how I keep saying Felgor. I do think Felgor are a huge winner of this TAC op. I think that they're probably going to be an S tier team, because I think they're going to be able to score a lot of these really easily.
They have good choices.
To me, written, it's an F. But strength, I put it as an A.
I put it as a B, but I get where you're coming with the A. Just because I don't think every team can do this. This is a little more geared towards certain teams that can run up the board, but those teams that can run up the board will score this.
Well, like Novitiates can do it. Pathfinders can do it. Felgor can do it. I'm trying to, Inquisition could do it. There's a bunch of teams that have this who are going to be able to score. Do you want to be that far into enemy territory when you have Inquisition? Maybe not, but
maybe not. Right, because if you have a security mission, you might not be able to get this as always easy, or it just really depends. But I still think it's a B, but it's still very good. Like if you had to pick something, it's safe.
The reason why I like Flank so much is because it's so good with the current crit ops. We'll go over the crit ops next. A lot of the crit ops are like, hey, touch your opponent's territory, or touch your opponent's, or do this or do that. So they're actively rewarding you to be in your opponent's territory, thus making this TAC op very good, in my opinion. Retrieval is up next, Giacomo. Why don't you take this one? I don't know what this is.
So we will read it for you right now. So this is the first time you score victory points from this op use when you reveal it. And you have a mission action, retrieve. If the active operative controls an objective marker that hasn't been searched by friendly operatives, that operative is now carrying one of your retrieval mission markers, and that objective marker has been searched by friendly operatives. Friendly operatives can perform the pickup marker action on your retrieval mission markers for 1 AP. So victory points. The first time each objective marker is searched by friendly operatives, you score 1 VP. At the end of the battle, for each of your retrieval mission markers friendly operatives are carrying, you score 1 VP. So it's pretty simple. You just want to go excavate and just pick up stuff. So if you have like what one really fun one, if I remember right, they just came out and I can't remember what they have, but Battleclade, I believe they have recon. So one of the things you may want to do is use your techno-archaeologist to run up and use remote controlled so that you can just activate this, score 1 VP, and then someone else can go pick up the marker, and then you score 1 VP that way. Or if you have guys that can reduce the mission action, so if it costs 0 CP to just do the mission, then they can pick it up at the same time. That's another good one. Then you just have to hold it until the end of the game. And since this is at the end of the battle, you score the additional ones. You just got to do
problem.
Mm-hmm.
Each operative can only hold 1 marker.
Yes. So you're gonna have to dedicate some guys to do this.
6 guys, if you want to max it.
Well, you can only score 1 VP for each thing, and you can only get 3 markers, because once objective has been revealed, then it gets a marker. So you can have a total of 3 markers. So you need to have a bunch of guys just being able to pick this up and run away.
I guess you're right. So you only need 3, right?
Only 3. So this is decent. I don't know if you want melee teams to do this all the time.
You're getting 2 on this pretty much no matter what.
Pretty much at least 2, because even if you just do the mission objective, you get a point, which is pretty simple. It's
difficult. It's difficult for some things like on loot, because you have to go up, you have to tap the point, and then you're going to have to retrieve with a different model on your own point, and then you're going to have to retreat with that model so it doesn't die, and then you have to do that on the middle objective too. So then you have to dedicate 2 models to tap the point, and another model will come up and search the point, and then run away
and hold it. Yep.
It can be difficult. It could be easier for teams like Corsairs who can light fingers.
Mm-hmm.
It could be easier, and they're fast, right? So there's definitely, I think it's situational, and there are probably some crit ops that this is probably better with.
Yeah, I think that is pretty much accurate how we should look at it. I would put this at a B tier because you'll at least score some insurance points. You may not always survive to carry them at the end as easily as something like Dominate, where you just got to shoot a guy. And then fight him in melee and then just be like, cool, I own this side of the board. I'm not going to lose more. This guy's not going to die, so I'm going to score these points.
Yeah, I'll say this is probably B tier. You'll probably get between 2 and 3 points on average, which is pretty good for
TAC ops.
These TAC ops. Scout enemy movement. This is probably the one that most people I've spoken to, most content creators who got these cards, are split on. Some really think it's really good. Some think it's the worst TAC op ever. What do I think? I have no idea. I don't know if this is good. I don't know if this is bad. I think it's very situational for very specific teams. You're never going to max kill op if you take it, and you want to max this. It's good for Pathfinders. It's difficult. So let's read it. Scout enemy movement. Reveal the first time an enemy operative
friendly
performs this. Yeah, friendly. Performs the scout action. Mission action. Scout. Select 1 ready enemy operative visible to and more than 6 inches from the active operative. That enemy operative is now monitored until the ready step of the next strategy phase. An enemy cannot perform this action while it has an engage order, during the first turning point, or while within control range of an enemy operative. So you have to be on conceal, right? So that means you can't shoot unless if you're a Ratling or somebody else who has the sniper from Pathfinders. And then we also have victory points at the end of each turning point. After the first, for each monitored enemy operative that's visible to friendly operatives, you score 1 VP. Note that this doesn't have to be a friendly operative that performed the scout action. You cannot score more than 2. This is difficult because you can scout an enemy and then they could hide. And then you could scout an enemy and then they could hide. And then you have to come out and you have to look for them, which isn't bad if you can out activate them. But I think this is a really bad tack up for going into teams that have really low model counts, because they could just start hiding their models. You're never going to score it. It's also not great for teams that don't have a lot of extra activations, because it is another APL tax. We'll go over, I think that there's a lot of taxing going on with APL in all of the tac ops and crit ops. So we'll kind of do a nice overview at the end of the crit ops section. Ooh. What do you think, G?
I totally get what they mean when it's split, because I actually think this is pretty decent. Not for necessarily scoring points, but you can absolutely scare your opponent. Like, if you come out, I'm going to scout you. You're going to give me those points. Like, I'll make sure to get those points out of you, because it is easy once an opponent's scouted. It is easy to get. They just have to be visible. They don't have to be a valid target.
What if they can just counteract and walk away?
That's what I'm saying. So then that means they're not putting themselves in a better position, because you would just counter by putting a guy where they would want to go, but then they'll be visible. And now, cool, free point.
But also, it's select one ready visible operative. So they can't move out and then you scout them. You have to scout them before they move.
Right.
So when you're scouting, you are prioritizing scouting over scoring points and over killing enemy models.
See, you can dedicate with enough bodies. I think this is better into 10-man teams. I wouldn't take this into smaller man teams who need to do. Oh, maybe Phobos, because they can do the mission actions for free if you take the warriors. Into bigger ones, you can dedicate a guy to be like, you're going to scout, and I'm going to make sure that either you decide to let me scout you, or you have to go somewhere less favorable for the next turning point. And you're going to kind of force your opponent to sort of have to choreograph their moves differently, unless they want to just kind of give you the scores. That's where I think the real trick is in this one, because you're right. You can just move away and disappear and never be a option for them. But if they're doing that, they might not be moving where they want to go, and then therefore not doing the crit up, which means you can go ahead and do the crit up. I see why people they could like this and they could hate this.
I'm a big hater.
There you go.
I'm going to give this a C or D tier. I think it's too much taxation. You are already getting taxed a lot on the crit ops. You're getting taxed a lot here. You're getting taxed a lot trying to open doors. Volcus, it's really easy to stay hidden. I just think it's not that good.
I think since you only need to be visible, it's too simple. It doesn't need to be valid. If this was valid target, this would absolutely be in the dumpster for me. But because it's just visible, I just need to see part of you, and then I got you. And then I can dedicate a guy to move, scout. It doesn't matter if he dies now.
So hashtag most controversial.
Yeah, I give this a B tier.
All right,
putting this in the B for me. Wow, this was a controversial one.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I honestly think flank is probably the best. And then what do you think between enemy movement and retrieval?
I'd probably put retrieval. It's just a little easier
or do you think they're equal?
Personally, recon for me is everyone's pretty good in their own different route. So overall, I'd give the whole thing a B, but I would probably put scout enemy movement at the bottom if I had to pick them in that order.
So about this order?
This order is
flank, retrieval, scout. Yeah. So where are we putting each? Now that we've gone over each tac op,
we need to do security real quick. I don't think we did securities.
We
ranking.
Did it first.
Well, we didn't do the ranking. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Martyr first, I think. It's situational.
But I would do Martyr's Envoy and then Plant
Envoy and then Plant Banner.
Yeah, that feels like the options for him.
And I'd probably say A or C, depending, because it's not good for certain things, Same thing with Envoy.
Yep.
Same thing with Plant Banner.
This is also a B tier tech up archetype.
Really?
Might be
So you
C
think-
because it's a little more situational for each one, like overall.
So overall, what are we saying for? I think security is relatively safe, and you're probably going to score at least 2 points for most things. I think that I'm going to put it in probably. Yeah, C could be good. I'm going to probably say B tier. I'm going to give it, I think security is probably the most improved out of all of them because I think security was okay back then.
I think I got to put it in C, but that's just based on one game we've played as of right now. We'll know more in a little bit.
We sure will. This is our initial impressions, everyone.
Impressions.
Recon, I'm going to say Recon's probably B or A, I think it's overall, a lot of their ops are still pretty good.
Yeah, if you're scoring 3 to 4 points, I think I can consider that B. And most of these, you'll probably score 3 to 4 points. If somehow you can max, even better.
So do you think that Recon's better than TAC Ops? Or than security?
I think so. I think it's in a B tier for me.
Okay.
I think it's just a little easier to do if you have this.
I think it's team dependent, everyone, So we're going to say that Recon currently is better than than security. Then we have infiltration, where we I think infiltration is probably tied with security.
I think it's tied with security. So I was saying the same thing, right? In C, there's one really good one, but then there's 2 that are they're fine.
And seek and destroy.
I think that's the winner personally, because dominate is very good. Sweep and clear is decent. And I think route is decent.
So you think this is the best one out of all of them?
Dominate itself really carries a lot of the weight. Like it's carrying
coming from the elite player over here.
It just, and even if you're playing a standard team beating up another team, like I'm Felgor and I hit you harder than you hit me. And therefore I get to dominate and score points before I die because of, because when I get enraged, what's it called? Not enraged. What is it? I forget the move's called now.
Frenzy.
When I frenzy, I can still score, dominate on the turning point or something. Oh no, because I think you die at the end. Never mind.
You die at the beginning of your next activation.
Oh yeah, so you can become frenzied that turn and score the points.
The Mauler can kill 2 people,
right, and then get the points.
Yeah, it's pretty
right. So it's I think dominate is just so good. For that reason that it carries this up, and the other ones are decent in my eyes. I know you feel different about route and sweep and clear, but I think to me that puts it up to A. Just dominate itself, just that's going to be the one I see probably the most. I could be wrong.
In my opinion, I think that security and probably not security. I think this is probably the most improved TAC Op range. I think there's way more playability than there was before because it was just elites. I think this heavily favors elites still, but I think it still has play with other teams now, which is #most improved. But I think it is probably just as good as Recon.
Yeah, I think these 2 are probably the orange and the red are probably the ones that are winning.
I think if you play horde teams, security is probably just as good. I think it is just as good, but if you're playing other types of teams, security could be a trap. And then infiltrate. If you're a tricksy little kill team player, this is going to be great for you. So I think that they're all relatively similar levels.
Right. And the nice thing is we talked about this before, where there's enough variety in each archetype that different teams could take this depending on what they have. And it works. And I think if that was their design, I think they nailed it. I don't know if that's their design, but if so, I think they got it. I think they got it right.
Yeah. Next up, we're going to talk about crit ops. We're going to blaze through some of them. Some of them
tops.
Pretty simple.
You want to go through?
We've seen some of them.
You want to go through the classics? We'll go to order, I guess.
Secure's up first, right? Relatively simple.
Yep.
It's S tier for me. It's an amazing TAC Op for competitive play, or crit op for competitive play. I'm going to judge these based off of how viable they are for competitive. I think it's pretty great.
Tried and true. Yeah.
Tried and true.
Yep.
Next up, loot does favor.
For those listening, by the way, secure. And for those who are unfamiliar with the crit op, by the way, secure was a previous one that existed. You just had to control an objective. Once you tapped it, it was yours, and that was it. Just own
sticky. That's what we
just
call
own
sticky
objectives.
Ones. Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
You stick it, and then if you leave, your opponent can come and steal it from you.
That's
loot,
it.
you have to be on it, and you have to hit it every time. And loot is also S tier. It favors hordes typically more, but that's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
We should have some that favor hordes and some that favor elites.
Yes.
We have transmission up next. Notice how all of these are costing mission actions. That's going to play a big role in my upcoming overall thoughts. Transmission, also tried and true. It's been around. It's in the core rulebook. Also S tier in competitive play, or if you want to have a very balanced game. This is going to be very fun.
This is an interesting take on the hold more than your opponent, because you have to hold more of the transmitted objectives, which is nice. And this is cool because you can steal ones that have already been transmitted and just own the ones that your opponent transmitted and take it, and you got it.
It's just like secure, but anyone could do the APL dot, and then you don't have to do it again. You just have to take it from your opponents.
Yes, exactly.
So next up, we have Orb.
Okay, this one is interesting.
Orb favors horde teams dramatically. I've heard that this is quite fun from the people that have played it, but ultimately, this is probably this one and Reboot are probably the two that made me the most angry. This was also another rage one that I called Giacomo on.
Yep.
I think Orb is innately bad for competitive play at 3-round events. I will repeat that. I think Orb is innately bad for 3-round events.
Tell us why.
Because we are actively playing a points denial, which is bad for first-time experience of players. It's if a player shows up to a game and they score 0 on kill op, they score 0 on tac op, and they score 0 on orb because they chose to take Death Watch because they heard it was good, and then they get tabled because they don't know how to do anything. They're going to feel real bad, and they might just walk out of your event. Right? This orb does favor your opponents knowing how to play the game well. It favors sanctifiers. It favors people with high activations, right? So let's read through it real quick. At the start of the center objective has the orb token. If the active operative controls the objective marker that has the orb token, move that token as follows. If the center objective marker has it, move it to either player's objective marker, your choice. If a player's objective marker has it, move it to the center one, right? And this costs an AP. There's a lot of tax going into this one. When you can't do this is when an operative cannot perform this action during the first turning point while within control range of enemy models, or if it doesn't control the objective marker that has the token. Also great for Battleclade's 4-inch remote access. At the end of each turning point after the first, this is how you score it. For each objective marker that friendly operatives control that doesn't have the orb token, you score 1 VP. So it is possible to completely stop somebody from scoring your crit up. And if you kill them throughout doing this as well, it is very easily possible that they score 0 on crit up, which is an innate reason why I dislike it. I think it's okay for larger events, especially around 4, 5, or 6. I think that this adds variety, and I think it is a fun one. I think it's great for narrative. The other problem that I have with Orb itself as a crit op, right? It feels like we're playing Unreal Tournament. I love Unreal Tournament. I love it. It is not Kill Team. I don't know why there's a random orb. I don't know why we're passing it back and forth. We're not playing Hot Potato.
We're playing reverse Hot Potato.
Yeah.
You don't want it.
Yeah. This is very much it takes me out of the element of in the 40K universe, right? I just don't think it's narratively driven. I don't think I think it's probably fun, right? I haven't played it yet. Me and Giacomo plan on playing it on a tac op. Maybe I'll change my tune, but yeah, I think a lot of people, this is a community favorite. Everyone keeps doing orb memes. What do you think, Giacomo?
Well, people like to ponder the orb, I think it's fun playing reverse hot potato, reverse orb, because you don't want this, but I could see what you mean, where someone could feel bad, like, okay, you keep giving me the orb, and that's the only objective I can have, so I'm scoring nothing. Because you could just control it. Or if you're right, if hordes have this, they can kind of set up guys to always be trying to tap the point and throw it away so that they can score the points, which makes sense. That's what you would want to do. I think I'm coming around to it more the more I've read it, and I think I got to try it before I can really hate on it. So I'm going to give it like a safe B.
I'm going to give it a C.
Cool.
I think it's okay sometimes, but this should not be a go-to for your events. Should not be your first 3 at minimum. State Claim is up next. We have this one's interesting. This is a very, very interesting mission. For instance, the victory conditions, right? At the end of each turning point, if friendly operatives control more objective markers than enemy operatives do, you score 1 VP. So we are seeing control sneak its way back in, which I really enjoy control. Mm-hmm. That's innately good for the meta and automatically makes this a better tac op, in my opinion. Because you're putting agency into your players' hands by playing this mission at events or just in general. If you hold more, you can score a point, right? If you never hold more, cool, you're never going to score a point for it, right? But then we have Stake Claim, which is weird. It's weird. Giacomo, do you know what this is, or do you want me to take it?
I'll take it for this one. So at the start of the gambit step of each strategy phase, after the first, starting with the player with initiative, each player must select both one objective marker and one of the following claims for that turning point. So your claims are, you can have friendly operatives control objective markers at the end of this turning point. So they go, that objective marker, let's say objective marker A, we're going to control at the end, we're going to score 1. Or you can also have enemy operatives won't contest A at the end of this turning point. So basically you guarantee, like, I'm going to get this, or I'm going to make sure my opponent doesn't have this. So you cannot select each objective marker more than once per battle. So you must select each objective marker once during the battle, and you got to give it a claim. And at the end of each turning point, if friendly operatives control more objective markers than enemy operatives do, score 1 VP. That's easy. Control more, score an objective. And then if you get your claim, you score 1 VP as well. So if you're confident that, like, I can control this and I'm going to own more than my opponent, I'm going to get it. This is a little bit more of a win more, because you can get 2 pretty easily if you're, like, good at this and your opponent just won't. But reversely, if you're both decent, you both can be like, I'm going to deny him from getting that, and I'm going to make sure I have that. It's what your opponent says, because they both are selecting one of their claims. So in theory, it could also just be a easy 6 points for both sides. I enjoy Stake Claim. I think it's decent.
I think Stake Claim is going to be easier scored for more advanced and better players, but I innately like this one because it rewards playing the game. And also, this is very kill team to me. This is not Unreal Tournament or Quake. This is very much like, hey, we're going to do this. We have our goals. We have our missions. We're going to do this. Bada bing, bada boom. If you do, you score an extra point. If you don't score a point.
Yep, easy. Just you got to just do it. But I think it's a good one.
This one I'm probably going to give an A.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. It's decent all around.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a great, if you're going to be running a 3-round event, I think this is a great number 3. I think this is a great number 4. I think this is a great number 8. I think this is a very good mission to throw in to shake up your typical 3 that you would normally see. Yes. And you can only score 2 from this because there's only 2 points allowed. Yep. I noticed that it didn't say, like, you can score a maximum of 2.
Right.
There's a reason why.
Yes, you got to control more, and you got to be able to get the
energy cells. F tier. I hate it.
This is a weird one.
I dislike it tremendously. I think that we're playing up the tax a lot. I have a lot of great jokes about taxes coming up at our, at the end of this. Energy cells. I dislike this one a lot. Operatives can perform the pickup marker action upon each objective marker in the following turning points. On turning point 2, you must spend an additional 2 AP. That action cannot be free, and its AP cannot be reduced. On turning point 3, you must spend an additional 1 AP for that action. And on turning point 4, it's as normal. So it's additional. So to pick it up, it's going to cost 3. So if you're going to do it on turning point 2, you have to have 3 APL. Guess what team can do this really easily, Giacomo?
Only elites.
Canoptic. They can get up to 4 APL on an objective marker quite easily early on, pick it up and run away with their leader very easily. You know, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to breach onto this other side of the wall. Hey, guess what? You're never going to get this, you know? Whenever an operative is carrying an objective marker, that objective marker cannot be removed and set up more, whenever an operative is carrying an objective marker, that operative cannot be removed and set up again more than 6 inches away. Okay, I lied. You cannot teleport.
Yeah, you're stuck. Once you have this is all you have. So I dislike this for a different reason, but we're going to come to the same kind of conclusion. I don't like when objective markers move.
Yeah, I don't either.
And that's and you made a good point. Like you can have a guy get 4 and just disappear, or kind of, like move away really fast.
You can fly with it. It just can't be more than 6 inches.
Well, that would be removing and setting up. So I don't think you can fly. You have to walk.
Again, more than 6 inches. So you can do it 4 inches away or 3 inches away.
I think it's saying since it can't be removed, right? And you remove yourself when you fly. Right? Do you for setting up?
No, removed and set up again more than 6 inches away. So it's an and statement. So it's removed and set up. So that means fly more than 6.
Right. Yeah, I guess you're right. You could fly. You could go up to 6. You're right.
Yeah,
right,
but I do think that this might be, you cannot interdimensionally breach, molecular breach over walls because you cannot measure through walls. So if you do over a wall, you'd have to measure around more than 6 inches. I don't know, Games Workshop. This one, clarify that for us. That's weird.
This will be a weird one. But either way, I never really like when you can move objective markers. I prefer if they disappear.
Imagine putting Grizzly marker on one of them.
And just picking
it up.
And
it costing 4 APL.
Like you're just never touching this.
On turning point 2.
Because you can't reduce it.
And then 3 on turning point 3. and then 2 on turning point 4. Like what Horde team is ever going to pick up the energy cell?
They will not. They
never will. It will never happen.
Yeah, this one is kind of not great just because it's taxing a lot, and I don't like when objective markers move. And you're right. It'll feel bad for some teams. It's just like, I can't really do this.
This is just feels bad for players. When you start to see these things move because maybe an opponent has it or they thought of something or quickly or something like that. And then they just like have all of your cells and they just run away from them. You know, just, it is what it is.
It depends.
It's not fun.
It's not my favorite. I would put this in the D. Anything that has...
Yeah. And how you score them is at the end of the turning point. If friendly operatives control more markers than enemies do, you score 1. At the end of the battle, for each objective marker friendly operatives are carrying, you score 1. So typically you're just playing for 1 point on turning point 2, but to hold more on turning point 3, you might be picking up 1, you know, you maybe if you have 3 APL, you know, and then moving away at the beginning of it. Hopefully you don't have scout the enemy.
Right. Here's another thing of like, look at the crit up.
Yeah. So this is like, I don't think that this should ever be played competitively. I don't like it. I think it's bad. That's just my opinion, though.
I don't like moving.
Feel free to disagree. I don't like moving objectives either. I don't think a lot of people do. It's something that Games Workshop loves to do. They're just like, we're always going to have one that you can pick it up and move it around, but we're going to make it really hard to do so. It's like, all right, what are we doing? Also, D tier or F tier for UG?
I put it in D.
Download is up next. I love Download.
This is a decent one. It's a lot of fun.
This for me is S tier. I think this one goes up with the top tier competitive ones.
Yeah, because it has one of the easier things, which is score more, and the mission action is simple. You just have to go in the middle or get the one in the back, and once they're tapped out. So it is kind of a bit of a fight, and you have to kind of decide whether it's worth taking that or fighting a dude in the center, and it's still good. You can catch up. It's one I like. It's one I enjoy.
Yeah. So basically, Download is a singular AP action on a marker that you control. Okay. You can only do it. Any marker can only be downloaded once. Right.
Yes.
So that's important. The middle objective is worth 1 download point, and your opponent's objective marker is worth 2 download points. So you're actively trying to get to your opponent's side of the table to download theirs because you cannot download your own, but you want to stop your opponent from downloading yours. So you still want to not just give 2 free crit ops up, So it's a very tricky one. But also you score VP from this by holding more than your opponent. So you can, if you hold more than your opponent on all 3 rounds, turning point 2, 3, and 4, you score 3 VP. If you're able to download the middle one and download your opponents, that's how you max it. I think it's very interesting. It's very tactical. It's very kill team. I'm a big fan. I think this is great.
Yeah, download knocks it out. And number 7 is great.
Yeah, definitely S tier for me. Then we have data up next.
Oh,
this one's okay. There's a lot of data. There's a lot of literal data. Gee, why don't you take this one since there's so much text?
Sure,
you like reading, right?
I do like reading. You have 2 mission actions. I'll go over the first one. Just compile data for 1 AP. One objective marker that active operative controls gains 1 data point. Use a dice as a token to keep track of data points on that objective marker. You cannot perform this action during the first turning point while within control range of an enemy operative, or if that objective marker has already gained a data point during this turning point. Then you can send the data. So you can remove all data points from an objective marker the active operative controls. An operative cannot perform this action during the first, second, or third turning points. This happens at the end, while within control range of an enemy operative, or if that objective marker doesn't have any data points to remove. And so the victory conditions: at the end of the second and third turning point, if friendly operatives have performed the compile data action during the turning point, have performed more compile data actions during the turning point than enemy operatives have, they score 1 VP. So you want to make sure you have your guys compiling data. When a friendly operative performs a send data action, you score a number of VP equal to the number of data points removed. So you really want to compile on a bunch of stuff and make sure you're doing it more than your opponent and then send it off. It seems a little confusing, but I think teams with more bodies probably have the edge on data just because they can send guys to do this.
Yeah, I'd probably give this an A tier ranking for me. I would decent. Use it at an event. Essentially, you're kind of doing loot, right? So you could score. Does this not say you can score only 2 victory points per round? At the end of the second turn and third turning point, if friendly operatives have performed more compile actions than in that turning point than your enemy operatives, you score 1 VP. Okay,
yes, there you go. And then at the end, you can score the bulk of the points at the end.
Yeah, so you have to be first. You have to do so. This is innately bad with scout the enemy, right? This is one that you're like, oh, I'm not taking scout the enemy because I really got to focus on tapping the crit op points instead of scouting a dude, right? But essentially, you definitely want to tap a point, compile it before your opponent does, because it's scoring you 1. And if you're able to do it a second time, this is great for GA2 teams that have 2. There's not nearly as many anymore. So we're going to see this be good with horde teams like Brood Brothers, Deathcore, Inquisition.
Tau, right? Pathfinders still do it?
Pathfinders. I think, if they take a lot of Shaslas who have GA2s, you could see that, you could get them up on 1, tap it, and then shoot somebody, or scout the enemy for their second AP. So I think that this could be a very fun one to play. And then at the very end, it rewards you for surviving. So it's interesting because when you're compiling data, you're innately in a risky position. So you're going to be scoring points in a risky position. But typically the models that are scoring this at the end of the game are the ones that were safer or the ones that were tankier. So send data is going to be great for Raveners. So you're going to score a lot of sending data. So you like the Raveners are probably going to want to straight burrow to the back objective marker for their opponents because they know, okay, I'm going to need to use all of the, where are those at? I'm going to need to use my +3 to initiative to win turning point 4 so that I can, and my reroll that I got, so that I can secure, pop up, and just nuke the back lines.
Yep,
and then
steal
use
the
my
data.
third APL to steal all the data, and then I get 3 points. And then my Rekka already has the one in the middle. So like I think it's going to really be interesting that the tankier teams are going to be better at sending the data, while the horde teams are going to be better at compiling them.
Yes,
So I
there's a
think
good
that we're going to
balance.
see possibly a lot of ties with data. That is my first inclination. But I don't think that this op is bad, other than there's so many words. It could be confusing for people who do not comprehend well the first time they read. Because when I read this, I just put it down. I gave me a headache, the very first time.
But I'm glad you kept it, because data is good. Data's good.
Yeah, data's good.
Data's
and then
good.
we have another TAC op that I do not like, a Reboot. This one was also shown off in the article. And in fact, unfortunately, Warhammer Community showed off both of the worst crit ops, I think, in the entire pack, in my personal opinion. So Reboot is number 9. If you guys have already read it, it was released on Warhammer Community a couple weeks ago. When setting up the battle, after setting up objective markers, number each objective markers 1 through 3. At the start of the gambit step of the strategy phase, each player secretly selects one objective marker by putting a number of dice in their hand that corresponds to that objective marker's number. They then reveal their selections simultaneously. If both players selected the same one, that objective marker is inert this turning point. If not, the objective marker that neither player selected is inert for this turning point. Reboot, 2 AP. This is why I don't like it. It costs 2 action points. So it's really bad for anyone who has 2 action points. One inert objective marker the operative controls is no longer inert. This objectively is better for teams that have 3 APL. Or heaven forbid, you're playing against Legionary and they put 1 on the middle objective and they just make sure that the middle objective... Okay. Victory points. At the end of each turning point after the first, for each objective marker friendly models control, score you 1 VP. Ignore the objective markers when determined. So I think it could be very difficult to score. It is weird. I do not like it. I think it's probably fine to play at events. I'm going to give it a D. I don't think it's a failing one, but I don't think I will use this.
I see that. I think it'll just be a lot of times where people are going to go like, all right, your home objective is 1. My home objective is 3. Here's what I'm going to reveal: 1 and 3. So neither of those are going to have points. The middle is going to be the only one we're going to score on. And that's annoying. So it's just like,
that one would be inert. Right?
Well, because if they choose the same one, that one becomes inert. If they choose the different ones, those 2 that they chose that are different numbers become inert.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, that's why I don't really like this, for being like, oh, I see the one you're going to try to score. I'm not going to let you have that. We're only going to fight in the center. And it's just kind of like, okay, I guess that's what we're going to do this whole game.
And then like you could choose the center and your opponent could do that. And it's like, oh, well, my objective is the only one.
Right. And it's just not, it's not one of my favorites because of it. It adds a little more RNG to it. This is probably not, like you mentioned, competitive, probably not my favorite. I'd be fine playing this in a casual environment where it's like, all right, we're having a little bit of fun here, where I'm already playing kind of wildly, but not where you don't want to have too much random variables.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I talked to Giacomo about this. I don't know if anyone else has the same mindset, but you kind of look at chess. It is the peak level of competitiveness. Nothing changes. Everything is pretty much the same. And you have different formats of gameplay, right? When you start adding in a ton of variability to stuff, it becomes innately less competitive, in my opinion. So, that's how I view it.
Hey everyone, Giacomo here. So this next portion is all about maps and layouts, but it's a little hard to really visualize that when you're listening to it. So if you want to see the full thing, you can check out the episode on our YouTube channel. That's at the Squad Games YouTube channel, Squad Games Entertainment on YouTube. You can check it out there, and you can also see a visual version of all the other stuff we're doing, because of course we always try to come out with a visual version of the podcast as well. Thank you again for listening. Now back to the show.
Giacomo,
Yes.
let's do our overview and let's get out of here.
Absolutely. If I did look at this really quick, this Crit Up pack feels very different, which is good, right? So and I think that's how it should always be. They had some things that if you're used to it, like the classic missions are fine. They've completely redone the way TAC Ops work, and I prefer the changes, because there doesn't seem to be an automatic pick, which would kind of gets a little boring when you're watching certain competitive events. Like, they're always going to take this one because it's always the best. The variety is nicer. So I give, and it's harder to score, which means you won't just have absolutely dominating games. It'll be a little more, closer, I think, where someone will be like, I'm playing the Crit Op, I'm playing the TAC Op, and they kind of just meet somewhere in the middle, closer to the middle. So I think overall, I give this an A. I like it overall. I'm not going to really count the maps because that can change based on tournaments. We're going to have different maps than what they necessarily use. So I don't want to put the maps in, but most of the time we're going to have a majority of the Crit Ops, and everyone will have access to TAC Ops.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is a market improvement over the last one, just because there's so many easy things to score. I definitely think there's also a detriment that it's harder to play. So it's kind of like a positive and a negative. I think that it's harder to play, so it's a little bit more negative. I think it's better that it's harder to play, because some things were just so easy and some teams just struggled. I think this is going to be a massive shakeup, just completely to the whole scene. Elites are going to have some extra. They're going to be good because they can do all the mission actions and they can do all the TAC Ops. Horde teams will struggle more because they can't. The tax is too great, but they are better at doing a lot of the TAC Ops, so they will be better. So it's a nice parity between the two, rather than it just being so elite favored in the first place. I think there's a lot of good things to say about it. My taxation joke is that Games Workshop really likes taxes. They like to tax you. They're from the British Empire. There's a reason why we broke away in the first place. It's just the taxes. Kill Team is very much the same. We're just getting a lot of taxes. That's my really bad joke. Maps wise, I think they did a better job. I think Volcus is objectively worse. Tomb World is objectively better. Other than map 5 on Beta Decima also looks better. Galadark didn't change. Very unfortunate. Overall, I think that the TAC Ops are great. I would like to say something else. There's a lot of people who take Games Workshop maps as like gospel. They are just there to show us how, if you don't know how to make a map, you should use these, right? I think that they are very good for beginners, and I think they're very good if you're a beginning TO. But if you are more experienced TO, right? Look around, look at other communities who are making other maps, see what you like, or make your own. And then make sure you publicize them to your opponent, to your player base, and make sure that you're open to feedback. That if people think that it's awful because you put all 4 vantages on one side of the board, obviously it's a bad map. You know what I mean? So I think that we've, as a community, have lost a lot of creativity from the last edition to this edition with maps. I think a lot of people are just sticking with Games Workshop maps, and I think that's that sucks for going to events, because you're just going to play the same things over and over. We saw the same thing with Volcus. Even we didn't change Volcus. Volcus is very difficult, but we are doing some massive changes for the Las Vegas Open. We're going to have some crazy new maps, and some new design philosophies for Volcus, for Open, and for Into the Dark. So hopefully you guys are excited to see some crazy stuff. I even talked to Giacomo today is that we should make a cracked map pack, call it like the cracked. Gosh, it's so hard to say.
The cracked map pack.
Yeah, the cracked map pack.
It's just funny to say.
And then just do some like crazy things in it, like just mix all the kill zones together. Like you can't jump over or move over or measure through into the dark walls and have other things happen. It's like, hey, play these maps at your own risk, just to have fun. I think it could be fun, add a little bit more variety. I think that a lot of people are getting burnt out on certain things. I think Tomb World is going to be an amazing thing. Like I even imagine like in the cracked map pack, we even have teleporters in Volcus, you do some crazy things.
Why not?
Like you could 100% just make it Unreal Tournament. If you want to play Orb so bad, right? Let's just put teleporters in Volcus and just go crazy. We have the rules.
Yeah.
Why not?
And breachable walls exist in Volcus. They came out with the Brutal and Cunning set. So why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Could do all kinds of crazy fun stuff, and still make it competitive. Yeah. Pretty fun stuff, be like, oh yeah, we're using the cracked map pack. It was like, what is that? Yeah. Big fan of the new TAC Ops. Again, thanks to Games Workshop for sending us the cards early. I think this is a really bright step for Kill Team in the future. And I'm pretty excited.
I'm very excited too.
Yeah. Well, we're going to round out this podcast from here. Giacomo, do you have any shout outs?
Of course. So you can join the conversation by either leaving a comment here if you're watching this on YouTube or by joining our Discord and leaving a message there. Tell us what you think about the new TAC Ops, which one you think are the best, which one you think are the worst. Are all the crit ups worth taking? Or are you only going to pick a handful of them for your tournaments? And what maps are you going to play? Build them out, find your favorite ones, do those. You can follow us there. You can also check out other things like the battle reports we have if we're already watching that. Cool. If you haven't, you can go watch that right now and see some of the stuff in action. And we're on Twitch. We do that every now and then as well. We also have the Hobby Highlander if you're looking to get more painting advice or just painting stuff in general. Check that out as well. Yeah,
I'm also looking forward to producing a how we painted Tomb World video here soon. I'm going to do my best. I've never done a painting video before. But me and Giacomo have been painting for quite some time. So if you guys want to see some painting videos from us, make sure you guys put it in the comments. If you've made it this far, that shout out to you. Oh, we can't forget to shout out Alex Popov.
Oh my gosh, we almost didn't.
Yeah, we almost didn't shout out to Alex Popov.
Shout out to Alex Popov.
Yeah. And David.
Davis.
We have to remember to always include that no one in the West Coast plays Phobos or Commandos. Just to piss off David.
That's it. Yeah, nobody does.
Nobody plays them.
He's a hipster.
Sorry, David.
He only plays hipster teams.
He paints himself purple, so he doesn't count as an hipster. Giacomo, is there anything that you want to say at the end of this podcast for people on YouTube or Discord to come out and say anything? I would like to thank our patrons, though, because they keep this channel going. And also, we've had a huge uptake in subscribers for our channel lately. And I think it's due to a lot of the videos we've put out. So thanks to that. Thanks for if you're new here. And if you haven't seen our new shorts, go check them out. We have Sweat Lord one and we have, a Tyrannid one. And we're going to be coming out with more shorts here soon. So if you like short content, give them a shot. What did I ask you, Giacomo? It's getting so late.
It's okay.
We need to come up with something. What do they need to say in the comments?
They need to say Crit Up 2025.
Crit Up 2020. That's so lame.
That's easy. Beta Decima's back, baby. It never was here. It was never here.
We should have them say, okay, Beta Decima is back, baby is pretty good, right? That one's pretty good, especially if they reference map 5, especially if they reference map 5. You could say Beta Decima Map 5 is the best. No, let's just say Beta Decima is back, baby. I like that one.
There you go. Simple and easy.
Yeah, it's objectively not true.
It was never here.
It was never here to begin with, unless if you live in, the northeast of the United States. Next, I believe they do.
I do love it.
You know what's going to be crazy with Beta Decima? Since it's already an awful terrain system, they should 100% add in teleport pads.
That's what I was thinking. Just throw them in.
Throw in the teleport pads, throw into the dark walls, make your drop zones safe, remove map 5.
Cracked map pack, here we come.
Yeah. So tune in next week. We're going to have some great stuff about maps, and we're going to be debuting our own map packs. Hopefully I can finish it in time. The Into the Dark one is nearly complete, and then I just have to do the Volcus one.
Yes.
So it's a lot to digitize them. They take quite some time. I've been working on it for quite some time. So yeah, should be good. Giacomo, thanks for always being awesome. Shout out to you, and shout out to you for watching this video.
Take it easy, guys.
Peace.
See ya. The Squad Games Podcast is a production of Squad Games Entertainment. For more information on Squad Games, please visit our website at squadgames.net or check out our YouTube channel at Squad Games Entertainment.